It's a sound that you can't mistake. It's not a cheer, and it's not a boo. It's the sound of 20,000 people all drawing in their breath at the exact same second. A collective, unified gasp. It's the sound of the air being stolen from a stadium. This was different. This wasn't the manufactured excitement of pyro and music. This was a violation of the senses. The smoke that filled the ramp wasn't the celebratory white of a hero's return. It was a deep, sickly red, clinging to the floor like a toxic mist. And through it, she emerged. Not with the sprint of an eager challenger, but with the slow, deliberate pace of a nightmare you can't wake up from. STEPHANIE VAQUER. Her smile was the worst part. It wasn't for the camera. It wasn't for the fans in the front row. It was a private joke, and the punchline was, us. The screen cracked. Not a digital graphic. It felt, for a moment, like the glass of our own televisions had fractured, that she had reached through. In that single moment, the unwritten contract between the show and the audience was torn apart. This wasn't a story. This was an invasion. This wasn't a return. It was a reckoning. The red smoke had barely dissipated when the true chaos began. But it wasn't in the ring. It was in the production truck. We see the shows, the bright lights, the finished product. We don't see the unseen hands, the directors, the producers, the ones who create the illusion. And in that truck, there was panic. Who cued the smoke? Is that our smoke? A voice yelled, "That's not our screen crack graphic. Kill it. Kill the feed." But they couldn't. The system was unresponsive. The commentators, seasoned professionals who could talk through a natural disaster, were frozen. Their monitors were black. Their headsets were filled with static. One of them, a Hall of Famer, simply removed his headphones, looked at his partner, and mouthed the words that wasn't supposed to happen. On the ramp, VAQUER didn't pose. She didn't point to the sign. She just stood, watching the silent, confused arena, that sinister smile widening as she saw the technical crew scurrying. Their authority gone. She was a virus that had just crashed the entire network. The show had stopped, and she was the only one who seemed to know the new script. Backstage, the barrier that separates the performers from the chaos to gorilla position, was a scene of utter confusion. The other wrestlers, waiting for their cues, watched the monitors with a new kind of fear. This wasn't professional jealousy. This was the fear of the unknown. One champion, the face of the company, was seen grabbing their title, holding it not like a trophy, but like a shield. They were all characters in a play, and STEPHANIE VAQUER had just walked onto the stage from the audience, rewriting the ending. The agents and producers, usually the masters of this universe, were shouting into walkie-talkies that only hissed back at them. Security guards ran past the ramp, not toward it, because they were being told the breach was digital, that the threat wasn't just the woman in the red smoke, but whatever had allowed her to crack the very foundation of the broadcast. The other performers realized the truth, the rules they all followed, the lines they learned, the hierarchy they respected. It meant nothing to her. She hadn't just broken the rules. She had exposed that the rules were never real to begin with. The next morning, the world was on fire. Not with praise, but with questions. The typical sports recap shows didn't know how to discuss it. Was it the most brilliant piece of guerrilla marketing in history, or a genuine technical failure? One host asked, clearly baffled. The company, the WWE, tried to do damage control. They released a sterile, corporate statement. We are aware of the broadcast interruption, but the more they tried to contain it, the more the story mutated. Fans created theories. She was a plant. She was a protest. She was a ghost in the machine. The cracked screen became a symbol, a meme that spread across the internet. But every time the company tried to co-opt it, to sell a t-shirt or post a clip, the footage would corrupt. The clip would freeze on her smile, the audio distorting. They were losing control of their own narrative. STEPHANIE VAQUER wasn't just a person, she was an idea. And that idea was spreading faster than they could build firewalls. She had become the narrative. The locker room, once a sanctuary of shared experience, became a place of paranoia. It split into two camps, not of good and evil, but of order and chaos. The veterans, the ones who had built their careers on structure, on respecting the business, were furious. They saw VAQUER's appearance as an insult, a flagrant disregard for the foundations they had laid. They saw her smile as a mockery of their sacrifice. But the younger talent, they were quiet. They watched the veterans rant, and they stayed silent, exchanging nervous glances. Because they had felt it. They had felt the surge of genuine, unpredictable energy. They had been playing a game, and VAQUER had just shown them a new way to win. Or, perhaps, a way to break the game entirely. The fear in the locker room wasn't of VAQUER. It was the fear that she was right, that their hard work, their loyalty, it was all just part of a system she had bypassed in a single 3-second smile. For 7 days, there was nothing. No social media posts, no further interruptions. The company tried to resume its normal programming, but the air was thick with anticipation. The shows felt hollow. Then, during the main event champion's victory speech, it happened. The champion was the symbol of the company, the perfect face, the corporate ideal. She was in the ring, holding the title high, talking about legacy and opportunity. She was thanking the fans, the company, the universe, and then she paused. Her eyes drifted from the crowd to the ringside area. STEPHANIE VAQUER was just ... there. She hadn't come through the smoke. She hadn't come over the barricade. She was just standing, dressed in street clothes, holding a simple, handheld mirror. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just ... held the mirror, angling it so the champion could see her own reflection. Bathed in the bright lights, holding the gold, the champion's words faltered. Her hands began to shake. VAQUER smiled, lowered the mirror, and simply walked away, disappearing back into the darkness of the arena floor. What the camera didn't show was the champion's complete breakdown after the show went off the air. She didn't collapse from an attack. She collapsed from realization. That mirror wasn't a threat of violence. It was a judgment. In her reflection, she didn't see a champion. She saw a character. She saw the paint, the costume, the scripted lines. VAQUER in that one silent gesture had communicated more than 1,000 promos. She had said, "You are a lie." The legacy pressure, which the champion had always carried as a badge of honor, suddenly felt like a crushing weight. She had spent years trying to be the perfect symbol. But what if the symbol itself was the cage? The champion was interviewed later, and the corporate face was gone. She didn't touch me, the champion whispered, but I've never felt more violated. The media chaos was one thing. This was different. This was personal. The Queen of Chaos hadn't attacked the champion's body. She had attacked her identity. The show was now officially broken. STEPHANIE VAQUER's chaos was an infection, and it was spreading. Things just ... stopped working. A bitter rival was cutting the promo of their life, their voice raw with emotion, and suddenly their microphone cut out. It was replaced, for 3 seconds, by the sound of a simple, steady heartbeat. Loud. Thump-thump. Thump-thump. The wrestler froze, their anger turning to cold, visible fear. During a high-stakes tag team match, the main Titantron, which was supposed to be showing the action. Instead, just flashed static, until a single image of VAQUER's smiling face burned onto it for a full minute, dominating the arena. The wrestlers in the ring ... They just stopped. How could they continue? The referee was looking at the screen, terrified. It was psychological warfare. The matches became sloppy. Performers were forgetting their spots, looking over their shoulders, flinching at every sudden noise. VAQUER wasn't in the matches, but she was controlling them. She had turned the entire spectacle into her own personal puppet show. The emotional consequence was no longer contained to the arena. We, the fans, see these performers as larger-than-life figures. We forget they are people. We forget their families. The champion, the face of the company, was shown in a short, cinematic vignette, sitting in a dark locker room, just ... sitting. Her phone rang. It was her father. The conversation wasn't about the match. It was about the mirror. I saw the show. His voice crackled. That ... that wasn't wrestling. That woman ... with the mirror. Are you okay? Primera mea. Inni. Are you really okay? The champion couldn't answer. She just held the phone. This was the unseen consequence. The chaos had breached the one place it was never supposed to go. Home, the family, who used to watch with pride, now watched with worry. This isn't what you trained for, her father said, his voice breaking. This is ... something else. This is dark. The champion, the symbol of strength, silently wiped away a tear. The mask was cracking, not just for the cameras, but for her own family. It all came to a head at the pay-per-view. The main event. The champion, the one who had been haunted by the mirror, walked to the ring. But she wasn't in her gear. She was in jeans and a simple black t-shirt. She wasn't wearing the championship. She was carrying it, dangling it from her hand like it was a piece of trash. The music didn't even play. She got in the ring, took a microphone, and her voice was quiet, trembling. Get out here, she said. No response. Get out here, Stephanie. You want this? You want all this? The pressure, the lie. You can have it. She held up the championship, and from the crowd, just like before, VAQUER appeared. She stepped into the ring, that same, neutral, almost curious smile on her face. The champion, now openly weeping, shoved the title into VAQUER's stomach. Take it. It's yours. Stephanie VAQUER took the heavy, gold-plated belt. She looked at it, studied the craftsmanship. The arena was dead silent. Then, she looked at the champion ... and she dropped it. The belt clattered to the mat with a dull, final thud. The champion froze. Her tears stopped. This was not the script. VAQUER hadn't come for the title. The title was the lie. The title was the system. It was the symbol of the very order she had come to disrupt. By dropping it, she had won. Stephanie VAQUER simply shook her head, as if disappointed, and turned, leaving the ring. She left the champion standing there, not defeated, but ... free. And in that moment, the twist was revealed. The Queen of Chaos wasn't a moniker. It was a diagnosis. Stephanie VAQUER wasn't the chaos. We were the fans, the media, the system that demanded these performers wear masks, that demanded they be perfect symbols. We were the chaos. We cheered when the screen cracked. We leaned in when the show broke. We craved the disruption of the predictable. Stephanie Baker. She was just the mirror. She was the one who held it up, not just to the champion, but to every single person watching. The show faded to black, not on a victory, but on a truth. And the question that lingered in the silence was the most chaotic one of all. Now that the illusion was broken, what was left?